Hi there, this is Daniel with In Time Country Living, and on this video I wanted to show you how I am drying plums. These are the Brooks plums, or Brooks prunes, however you want to say it. And so I've done this since I was a child, and a lot of years of experience. I wanted to share that with you. These are a tub of the plums that I brought over from the shed where I'm keeping them cool. They're cool with their air conditioner over there. These are an Italian type plum. So they got the one seam on one side, kind of an oval one. The skin on these is sweet, as opposed to some Italian plums are more tart. So these are very good for drying. High sugar content as well, which is good for drying. So the first thing I get is a little bowl of water that I can rinse the plums in. So I put them in there and swish them around as I'm taking them out. So I'll just go ahead and fill this up. They have a little bit of a wax coating on them, which is the light colored blue that you see on them. So that a lot of that wax comes off in the water as you swish it around in there. Okay, so that gets that filled up there. And we'll set it over here to my left. So you can see my little setup here. So I just put a cloth down, a hand towel here on the table, so that soaks up any water that's going to be coming off here. As you take these out, you get a little bit of puddle of water here and it builds up. So it's eventually will kind of run off on here, so that's there to protect the table and just soak up things from dripping on my lap and things like that. I have a little container here that's fairly low that I can quickly dump the seeds and pare off any moldy or damaged spots on the plums. Selection of knives here. So just a paring knife. This is the Dexter Russell ones, Santa Safe. This is just my bench-made knife. It works really well, so I've been using that because it's quite sharp and stays sharp. So when a super sharp knife, if you can possibly get it here and keep it sharp as well, with a honing steel to keep the edge nice and sharp for the cutting process. And then over here is where I have my trays. These are the Presto dehydrator trays. Very nice flexible plastic that doesn't get crispy or melt. And so these are the nesting type, so they alternate back and forth. This one has handles, this one doesn't. So you set these on there and fill these up. I can do about 2 rows on here. So this is the first row of plums, and then you can stick a second row like so. I usually don't try to squeeze 3 in there, because the center around in this area doesn't get enough heat and wind and compared to the rest of the tray, and therefore it doesn't dry, and then I have to jockey it around. And so I just go ahead and just do 2 rows and just fill up more trays, or just, I'm usually tired by the time I get all the trays done. I have 28 trays right now that I'm doing in the evening for about 3 hours worth of labor to get those all filled up, and then they run for 24 hours before they're ready to come off the trays and into the buckets. So I'm working on getting these filled up here this evening. So I've done quite a few already. This is my second stack here. I usually go, let's see here, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. Stack it up about here, and then it gets a little high to be lifting up my arms to put them on there, so I'll go put them on the dryer then at that point. So anyway, I'll show you a little bit about the cutting up process now. So the first step is here to grab a couple plums and rub them a little bit in the water to clean them off. Set a few on my tray at a time, or my cutting board at a time. Okay, so I'll go ahead and grab one here. So I usually like to cut on the seam, right down where the line is, cut on the line. So stick your thumb on one end and your knife on the other. You could also, if you wanted to, You put it down like this and slice it open, however you like to do it, just whatever feels comfortable to you. So then it's a matter of just got to do it out of habit. So take your thumb, peel that pit out, toss it, and then turning it up at an angle like this. And so then we want to be sticking it at about a 45-degree angle, maybe a little bit more, more vertical. And so we want to cut mostly. So here's an example. So it's mostly cut down through here. But we don't want to cut all the way. So it's a 1/4 inch or so towards the bottom there, so it holds together. But we're not actually cutting all the way through. On the front side, it's mostly cut through, but that skin on the back kind of holds it together in one piece. So go ahead and, so we're just kind of slicing. So you're going to pull the knife towards you. And usually it's about 4 cuts per side. Depends on the size. Bigger plums, sometimes you need more cuts. And so, see how it's cut up like that. It doesn't have to be perfectly cut, just that, so that allows it to open up and get nice and flat, and it allows the moisture to escape in between each one of these cuts here. And that allows it to dry much more quickly than if you just said, oh, that's good enough, we'll just leave it like that. This will dry eventually, but it might take 2 days to get it dry, as opposed to 1 day to get it dry when it's cut like that. Dramatic increase in time it takes to dry it by not cutting it, so I would definitely recommend slicing it. So we'll put those on the tray, so we'll just so it just takes a little bit of, and trying to keep the slices fairly even is important, and so that just takes skill, practice, and the more you practice, the better you'll get at getting those even. And sometimes you see, well, this one's kind of fat, you kind of go back and get another slice in there. If they're super fat and lush, sometimes you get some extra big plums. These aren't particularly huge, but you can also do another cut this way, and that allows them to open up the other direction too. But generally I don't bother, that's just extra time and doesn't seem to matter. So as I mentioned before, we're just setting them up on the trays here, so you want the fingers to be towards the outside. That's the smallest part of the semicircle here. So they open up, they can pull like that and set up like that. So basically just going, like I said, too deep. So we'll just open another one up here for you. Like that. Just like that. So we'll fill these up, and then we'll, once we get another couple layers, we'll take them over to the dryer and I'll show you what that looks like. So here I have the food dehydrator set up here, just on a piano bench next to the fire here, to kind of keep the humidity down. So when we got the fire going, it's been pretty warm, so I haven't had the fire running, but this is already set up here, so I'm just going to continue to run it. I got 2 of them here. So I have the second one set up here, so I'll be filling on here shortly here. So I generally set the temperature to right about there, which is 145 somewhere, I'm guessing, maybe 150. Not exactly, but somewhere around there, which seems to work well for plums. So that's what these are. Don't remember the part number on these, but they don't make this particular model anymore. They have the digital ones with the buttons up and down rather than the dial, or they have one without a dial and it's just one temperature. So I would recommend getting one of the digital ones so you can control the temperature of it, because if it's set to 135, it may be a bit cool, as it says up here. They recommend 135 as far as the temperature for fruits there, second from the bottom there. But this is kind of what it looks like. These are a little bit scrambled since one of my nephews was putting them on, but it's kind of what they look like on there. So the heat comes up from the bottom and cycles back around a few times and then comes out the top. There's little vents at the top. So this is hot, moist air coming out of here. And he seems to do really well as far as a good strong fan. These are 750 watts. So anyway, that's what I'm doing there. So, and then we're putting them into the buckets down here. So I'll show you what they look like dehydrated. So you can see how you can see the cuts in there and how they are able to open up just like that. So they are able to dry nicely that way. And so you can also tear them apart if you don't want to, if you want to put this in cereal or something like that, you can just rip these little sections off, and then you have small pieces of dried fruit rather than one big piece. So that's another advantage of having them cut like that. And so I guess that's about it. So just wanted to show you how we're doing it here. Hope that's an encouragement to you. They're very tasty and kids like them and I like them. And all right, well, thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you and beneficial, and encourages you to get out there and dry some plums, or if you have some other fruit, apples or pears or anything else you got. Drying is a good way to preserve it. It takes up a lot less space. It's transportable, it's dry, you could eat it take it for a lunch or something like that. So God bless, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.